What's going on, everybody? I hope you're all having a fantastic day. So in this video I was going to rank the champions that have come out in 2021 thus far. It's halfway through the year and we just saw the first gameplay for Overseer this week, so I have a pretty good idea of where I rank all these champions that have come out so far. So without further ado, I'm just going to get into it by looking at my roster. This is going to be a non-gameplay video just because I don't really have a lot of these champions at high rank, so it'll be pretty boring gameplay. So, in dead last is Super Skrull. Super Skrull is one of the least satisfying champions in this entire game, in my opinion. You have to, throw special 1, do a bunch of special 3, another special 1, and I think you do a special 2. So, it's a lot of special attacks, and then the payoff on the special 2 is just pathetic. It's not bad damage once you do that. Once you do that, it's like, okay, this is good. But it lasts for no seconds, and the amount of time and effort it takes to build up is just not worth it. Now, he does have immunities to incinerate, and that's good and all, but outside of that, man, his ability kit is so lackluster. I hate playing him. I really never want to get him as any champion level, and yeah, he sucks. So Super Skrull easily comes in last place for me. And now moving into number 12 is not much better, but I'm lucky enough to have this champion duped as a 5-star, and that is Psycho Man. So Psycho Man is higher than Super Skrull because he's actually fun to play. He has different rotations. He's not totally garbage. He has some damage, but when you want his utility, you have no damage. That's the problem with Psycho Man. If he could access all of his modes, just combine them into one, he'd actually be a solid champion. Not top 10 tech or anything, but he'd be solid. You wouldn't want to end your life if you pulled him, because he does have okay damage in his damage phase. He has some really fun utility with the power control phase, and then I'm going to be honest, I don't remember what the other phase does. But it's just a shame because Psycho Man is really fun to play, and he's kind of enjoyable, but he's just not there with the damage at all, and his utility isn't strong enough to justify using it. So he comes in at number 12. Now, we take a fairly big jump here. Those champions are bottom of the barrel for this year. But aside from them, we move up a fair bit going into this next part. And number 11 is Mangog. So Mangog is an interesting champion at a lower star level. So from a 5-star at rank 5, he is not that impressive. But at 6-star rank 3, he's not bad, but that's the thing. Why would you invest all your Mystic Catalysts into a Mangog when you could use it on Doom or Claire, Sorcerer Supreme, Dragon Man? He's just not good enough to justify that high rank. Because I do like how he's played. When you get those hatreds up, charge up your heavy attack, you throw it off massively. Now, the one thing I do want to point out also is that you don't heal back anything on that heavy attack. I think he would be an infinitely better champion if his heavy attack acted in a way like Dragon Man, where you take the damage, but then instantly heal it back up, because that'd make him feel so much better to play, so you're not dang, I have to take a chunk of damage when I'm going to eat this heavy, or when I'm going to eat this whatever attack so I can throw my heavy attack. So that's the one downfall I've always seen with Mangog. If he had that Dragon Man regen ability, he'd actually be kind of good. And then also, I just wish that his hatred lasted longer and that his unstoppable refresh wasn't so long. So Mangog, he's a fine champion, I guess. He's not awful, but he was kind of disappointing because he is the hatred of a billion souls, and man, he just does not justify it. So kind of sad, but well, that's him. So yeah, so we're going to move on now to our number 10 spot, and where is she? There it is. Alright, that's Purgatory. Now, I'm going to be honest, Purgatory might be my least favorite champion released this year. Not in terms of how good she is, I just freaking hate her. You get 2 souls, and you get certain utility off those. She's like a worse Mr. Sinister. And Mr. Sinister isn't that good, keep in mind. She has more utility than Mr. Sinister on her given fights, but she only gets 2 of them, whereas Mr. Sinister keeps every fight he wins throughout the quest. So I don't like that you lose some of your utility. I think if you kept all of your persistent charges throughout a quest and got all the utility, she would actually be a really good champion. But the fact that you can only have 2 is super annoying to me, and I hate that ability. But yeah, Purgatory is not bad, I'll be honest, because Legacy did a video where you can solo Abyss fights by just throwing your SP3, but in my opinion, that's pretty damn boring. So it's just sad because Purgatory is the first disappointment in the Kabam original cast, and I really just wish she was better than what she actually was. But I do have to admit she's not the worst champion released so far this year. Okay, so my basement got really loud, so I had to just cut the video right here really quickly. But we're going to go on to number 9 next, and it is another champion that I don't have, and that is the Overseer. So, Overseer is very odd. I really, really want him to be better. So did everyone else. But he's not a bad champion. He feels like Odin did when Odin first released. He has some good burst damage off that, what is it called? When you enter the SP3 in the Cosmic mode, and you just keep spamming special ones, he actually has some solid damage output there. But it's just not enough. He's like similar to Psycho Man in that way, where you have, not Psycho Man, like Super Skrull, except his damage in that phase is better, but you do have to build him up a lot, which is the only thing I don't like about Overseer and the Super Skrull. See, I forget Super Skrull, he's so bad. But Overseer really does have some good damage in that phase. He can do some Realm of Legends fights really well, so he works better for bigger health pools than he does smaller health pools. But I just really want him to be better. I don't really have a lot to say on him now because he's a pretty just basic champion, not very much going on with him. He's not going to be like a crazy science champion or anything, so he's really cool to look at, but he's not very useful, which is kind of sad. But in that one phase, he does do some really good damage, which puts him over the top of Purgatory and all the other champions below. So he comes in at number 9 for me. So now we move on to number 8, and these champions actually start getting good now. So we're moving into the good champions, and this is Jubilee. So Jubilee can be freaking nuts in some scenarios. If you get that damage phase, I've seen like some people do 300k special 2s with Jubilee, absolutely nuts. But that's kind of a rare occurrence. You need crits on every part of her special 2. She has, similarly to Psycho Man, she has utility phase and damage phase. You can't combine them, which is kind of annoying, because if you did, she'd be a really, really good mutant, a really good character. But even without that, she's pretty fun. I like doing her combos with the fireworks. She's very unique, awesome animations, and yeah, she's just a fun champion to play. I do want to rank her up in the future, and I will be, especially for that Karina's challenge, which I'm still ranking up Gambit first though, but she's going to go up eventually. I like Jubilee. I think she was a really solid addition to the game, really good for progressing players, which is something that I think this year is focusing on more, progressing players, not top tier players. So you know what, overall Jubilee's really solid, and I gotta say I'm a big fan of her. So she comes in at number 8. And now at number 7, this champion was not going to make the list until I saw a video by KT1 today, and that is Scarlet Witch Sigil. Scarlet Witch Sigil is actually a beast. Like, he used a rank 5 4-star to take down Realm of Legends Winter Soldier in like 81 hits. It was wacky. It was really, really insane damage, and I was just in awe of this character. And you're thinking, well, dude, if she did that, why the heck isn't she number 1 on the list? I will then say that in that same video, it took her 35 hits to take down a 77,000 health opponent. So that is an opponent that has very much less health and took about half the hits that she did to take down the first fight. So as you can see, she is completely an RNG based champion. But when the RNG lines up, it is bonkers. And also, I figured if you're in a long fight, RNG is likely going to line up at least once. Even if it doesn't for the rest of the fight, at least once. And she really does have some great utility with her buffs, her unblockable. I don't like that she give unblockable to the opponent, but she is really fun to play, very unique, very chaotic, like the Scarlet Witch from WandaVision. And I think they did a really good job with her as a trophy champion. She's not going to be the best Mystic by any means, but she's just really fun to play. She's like a, Wolverine Weapon X. She's really good like he is, but she's not the best in the class, which is really important for a trophy champion in my opinion. So she comes in at number 7. Now number 6 is a character I am itching to get in the next 6-star featured, and that is Silver Centurion. Now, I am a very, very big fan of this guy. So, I like how he can make the plasma stacks. I like his utility off the special 2 with the plasma. And he's one of the only tech champions with a slow, I just might want to add. So, he's a utility powerhouse. And he has solid damage. That's what I really like about him. He's very close to being a top 10 tech champion, honestly. probably just outside of it, but he's a really cool champion. I love his animations. Even though it's another Iron Man, I think he's super cool. So yeah, he has the armor up, so he's a great havoc counter. Plasma, so he has a debuff that really can't be shrugged off by anyone else in the game. Slow, amazing for unstoppable and evade, and heal block, so he does a lot of those nodes with like annoying heal. He's just awesome. Really big fan of this guy, and I do hope I get him because I would probably take him around up to rank 2 as a 6-star if I did, and definitely rank 5 as a 5-star. So Silver Centurion was just a really just such a solid character. Solid damage, awesome utility, just what a champion should be. Even though he's not insane, feels very, very balanced. So he comes in at number 6. Now, 5 to 3 were all extremely hard for me to rank, but I decided to go with number 3 as the All-Father himself once I find him, Odin. So, what is it? Pre-buff, Odin was probably going to be around Mangog tier, maybe a little bit lower than Mangog because he was really bad. But ever since then, he's gotten awesome damage in his Odin sleep phase. But even when he's not in that Odin sleep phase, his damage is still awesome. He's one of the best options now for Abyss Thing because of the energy damage, and it doesn't hit the damage cap for things rock stacks, which I love. He just feels really good to play. With all the buffs you can have, just absolutely smash through buffed up nodes. And he's just so fun. Energize, his heavy attack animation. I think his heavy attack animation might be why I love him so much. It's so swift. He just whips his hand out and they just get shot back with a blast of energy. It's awesome. So Odin, there's not really much to him. That's the only reason why his utility isn't great. He has Energize, speed power gains quickly, Furies for damage, Aptitudes for more damage. Now his pre-fights are pretty insane, so that is why he's making it up here. But as a standalone champion, which is what I really want this list to be, he's not as good as some of the other champions. But still a beast. Odin's awesome, and yeah, I really thought I might have even put him at number 3, but I'm telling you, 3 to 5 are so interchangeable. I changed them right before this list, as a matter of fact. So don't let it be a knock to Odin. He's really good now. So I'm going to move to number 4, which is a champion that I am also very itching to get in the next feature, and that is Jabari Panther. So I love how Marvel just decides that, okay, let's make our realm of champions insane, and just all the other champions garbage. So Jabari Panther is really cool. She's like a mole man, but not as good, but also more unique than Mole Man. She has the hunt phase, which is something that only Tigra has. Her cleanse is really good. Suicide Mastery. She's a big suicide champion, so I just want to point that out. Her ensnare ability is pretty cool. Her bleed and crit phase is just awesome. I love using her when she's in that phase, and that's mainly the reason I want to get her, because it makes her so unique in that no champion can do what she does. And my video just cut out again. So as I was saying, there's just not many champions that can do what Jabari Panther does, and I really just wanted to point out that I love finishing that like big damage phase with the special, or not the special, the heavy attack, because it feels so satisfying. It's just a big old burst of damage with the bleeds, and it is awesome. So I gotta say, big fan of Jabari Panther, and I do hope I get her in the next featured crystal pool. So moving into our top 3, number 3 is simple. It is Mr. Negative. Let me tell you something. Mr. Negative is maybe my most wanted from the featured pool. He is one of the coolest looking champions in the game by far. He's one of the most interesting, unique champions to play by far. He is Petrify, Degen, freaking inverted controls, confusion, freaking colors on the screen. I have no clue what's happening when I'm playing him, and I love it. I love heavy spam champions, so you can see when you heavy spam, build up the Furies, and then launch into a special through. Oh, that's just my cup of tea. So, Mr. Negative, I will admit, he isn't the biggest boy damage output out of all of them, but his degen damage is pretty freaking filthy, so I gotta be honest, he is totally a beast, and I want him so badly. And he really does outshine a lot of the champions this year in terms of uniqueness and also usability. So, I gotta say that he is super awesome, and he comes in at number 3 for me, but he might be... Actually, no, he can't move up, but he's just awesome. So, moving on to number 2 is the champion I want most on this list. I know I just said I want Mr. Negative most out of the featured, but if I had to choose one on the list, it is Stryfe. And I don't want Stryfe for Stryfe. I want Stryfe so I can juice up my Apocalypse.
So aside from that, Stryfe is really just a beast this year. He's not the mutant Aegon in terms of that he's as good as Aegon, but he is similar in the fact that he can go fully unblockable. He's great for long fights, but he's also really good for short fights, which is something that I just wanted to point out because a lot of people don't use Aegon for short fights, but you can totally use Stryfe for short fights. His character model is so cool. I love the spikes coming off of him and the blue tints with the. It's just awesome. Yeah, his special 2 feels so good. He's actually a fairly underrated evade counter with his what is it called? The strikes that can't be evaded. I think they're called like psionic blasts. He's got concussion, invisibility, and like that special 1 makes him play a little bit like Ghost, where you phase a few hits, launch off a heavy attack to gain your charges. And yeah, he's just really fun. I do like Stryfe a lot, not only because he would make Apocalypse just the Lord and Savior of the universe, but he's also very usable on his own. So if I got him as a 6-star, I would like to take him up to rank 3. And yeah, he's just awesome. So Stryfe comes in at number 2. But very, very barely beating him out is number 1, and that's Shang-Chi. So Shang-Chi is what a good champion he is. He has so much variety in what you can do with him. You can cleanse your suicides, you can go unblockable, you can stun the opponent, even Summer Pain Rogue. You can stun her for the normal amount of stun duration. It isn't lowered with Shang-Chi, which is something super, super cool. And he also has slow, and one of the most potent slows in the game. You just throw special 1, 2-hit combos, and you're basically slowing the champion the entire time. A 3-star Shang-Chi, in theory, could take down Abyss Thing. And his damage, let's not forget that. The special 2 burst on this guy is beyond nuts. He just launches one, and the fight's usually over. So he's just amazing with his utility is high. His utility, in my opinion, is better than Stryfe's. His damage is around the same as Stryfe's, so overall, I think he's better than Stryfe, but I know there's some people who would argue against that. But that is going to do it for today's video. Those are my ranking of the 2021 champions so far. And let me know if you would switch any of the spots, who you think is better, if you think freaking Super Skrull's number 1 on the list. So I'd love to hear what you guys want to think, and I will see you in the next one.